Hi everyone, this is Samson's Donkey Jawbone. Um, so I thought for this video I'd share something interesting. This was me debating on Twitter with Jay Dyer. Jay Dyer is a well-known uh, Orthodox Christian, and he's well known for debating people online, all sorts of different Christian denominations. He doesn't usually debate Orthodox Jews, but since we're in the news a lot these days, it's pretty relevant topic. So I joined his space looking to discuss a topic on Zionism, actually. Um, he sort of transitioned from speaking about that and the Temple Institute into discussing Orthodox Judaism, or at least my interpretation of Daniel 9. And so I thought that was going pretty well. And then I gave an answer he didn't like, I guess. So he basically just cut me off at the end before I could respond. So I thought I'd share the debate on here and then sort of finish it out by giving my final thoughts, which I wasn't able to do directly to him because he ran away towards the end. Oh, and then I tried to join a later debate a couple days later, a later debate space, which again, he creates these spaces specifically to debate people. So I tried to join this debate space later on, and he just blocked me like immediately. So, okay, he doesn't want the heat. I hear that. I hear that. So, yeah, I thought I'd just play this for you guys, and hopefully you'll like it, and I'll sort of give my final thoughts on Daniel 9 at the end of it. But yeah.
Book because he just lists a bunch of uh, things that we still disagree on. Sam, what's up? Samson, I mean.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi, I actually meant to join the last space, but it was too late. I'm an Orthodox Jew from Israel, and I was kind of like intrigued by this newfound obsession with the Temple Institute. So I was wondering if you could go into. I mean, you guys know that the Temple Institute is effectively just like a museum, right? Like, I just like feel like people should know that.
I don't know why it's an obsession and people bring it up because in America you have Kufi connected to John Hagee, which puts a lot of money towards the building of the temple. So
Yeah, I mean,
it
they
it
make
may not be
implements.
taken seriously. It may not be taken seriously in Israel, but you do have quite a few members of Orthodox Rabbinic Judaism, do you not, that want to see a new temple built?
Every single member of Orthodox Judaism wants the new temple built. Yeah, so that would render
Okay,
it
well, then thank you for
indistinguishable.
proving my that proves my point. So,
Right. So I mean, that's indistinguishable from you providing or lending support to any Jewish group ever, basically. So,
I don't understand. What do you mean?
well, if you right, the crux of the issue is that you have a problem with Christian Zionism because presumably you're providing support to the creating of the Messiah, of the Jewish Messiah, who you believe is the Antichrist. Of course,
Hmm.
there are differing opinions even in Christianity as to who the Antichrist is, but whatever.
Okay,
But
are there differing opinions in Judaism?
no, of course, no,
Okay,
100%.
so go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying the crux of the issue, right, is that you believe the Temple Institute is like uniquely involved in doing this, as opposed to just being another Orthodox Jewish organization like any
I
other.
mean, it was just something that one person listed in a debate as an example. So you are the one that made the appellation of obsession.
Okay.
I didn't even mention that when I was helping him prep for that debate. I sent messages and information about John Hagee's Kufi organization.
hmm Okay. I mean, that's fine. I mean, it felt like I watched that debate, and it felt like half the debate was talking about the Temple Institute, so it felt like an important point.
But I mean, if you're admitting that all the Orthodox rabbinical Jews, except for maybe the anti-Zionist rabbinic Jews, like if that's most of the Orthodox Jews, wouldn't that prove my point that you guys do want to build a temple?
Oh, even the
Or are
anti-Zionists
you just
want to build the temple. Even the anti-Zionist Jews want to build the temple.
no?
They
But
just want
you
to
know what I'm
build the
saying?
temple.
Like they don't they wait they think that you shouldn't be nobody should be in the land until the Messiah comes, right?
Yes.
So their point is that the money should not be given to Israel now for that purpose, because it's not according to Talmudic teaching.
Uh, yeah, in a sense, yeah. I don't think they'd have an issue with building like I mean, the Temple Institute just builds like the copper lavers and the copper spoons and silver spoons and trumpets and things like that. They don't really like Israel is just preparing rather than um, acting towards building anything. You know what I mean?
But if all Orthodox rabbinic Jews, for the most part, except for that group, want to do that, doesn't that prove the point? Or are you just saying that the Temple Institute is really insignificant? Is that your point?
That was mostly my point actually. Yeah,
Okay.
but I mean it's a great I mean it's great in the sense that they make these implements and they're cool to look at and it's a nice museum. But I was just there a couple weeks ago. But like there's no difference between them and any other Orthodox Jewish organization.
Hmm.
You know.
Why do you think there hasn't been a temple for 2,000 years, in your view? Like what?
Why?
What do you think? Was it
Yeah,
like a punishment?
I mean, the Jewish people are insufficiently repented, basically. Our deeds need to improve, and we need to repent more. So that's pretty much.
What do you think was the cause that like was there some specific event that led to the diaspora in 70 AD that was going on that
Yeah,
might have been a chastisement?
the Talmud records several traditions. The most common one today is Sinas Chinam, which means baseless hatred. The Jews at the time were basically hating each other for no reason, and there were a bunch of sectarian groups at the time, and because of that, the temple was destroyed. But the temple was always prophesied to be destroyed, so it was not really a surprise in a sense.
Do you take like prophecies in like Jeremiah to be references to that, or Daniel, or what are you referring to?
Daniel would be a big one.
Hmm.
That's definitely one that prophesied the second temple being destroyed. Hosea indicates that like Messiah comes after destruction of the temple, so
Right.
we would have expected that as well.
So, are you talking about Daniel 9?
Yeah.
What do you think? Those passages like that talk about Daniel 9:24 to 27, when it talks about the Messiah, the Prince, coming, bringing in of everlasting righteousness, etc. Did that happen when the temple was destroyed?
Yeah, so the exact verses use the term Mashiach, which Mashiach really just means
Right.
anointed. Um,
Uh-huh.
and in that sense, an anointed person, I mean, as you know, I know you know this, you know that Isaiah 45:1, you know, Cyrus is referred to as God's anointed, God's Messiah. So, and
So
actually,
Cyrus brought in everlasting righteousness.
well, in 24, that the Mashiach there's two Mashiachs in that chapter, right? So in 24, Cyrus is the
Oh,
Mashiach.
how do you know? How do you know there's two different ones?
I mean, you Christians also agree there are two different ones, right? I mean, you
No, I
believe.
don't. I don't think that's talking about two different messiahs. That's
Let me.
Talmudic teaching. The Talmud teaches there's two messiahs, right?
No. You're misunderstanding me.
Now
In
I know
Dan.
that you're saying that that's referring to Cyrus, and that you're saying that there's two different people in this passage. But I'm saying separate from that, you believe in two different messiahs, right?
That's one of the interpretations, but it's not necessarily. We don't really have dogmas in the way that you guys do, so it's not really. But my point is that
So could Jesus be the Messiah then?
um, no, but only
Well, you don't have
because.
dogmas.
Yeah, well, we don't have dogmas, but we do have, you know, a tradition and logical reasoning based on that tradition.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that there are like minute things like, you know, Messiah ben Yosef, Messiah ben David, like those things are.
So where
I'll
was
just,
Cyrus when the temple was destroyed in 70 AD?
like, yeah, again, you're missing. There's two mentions of Mashiach there, right? And then you agree that the 70 weeks
You said that
prophecy
you
refers
said that
to.
Daniel 9 was talking about 70 AD. I thought
Yeah, the
you
end of the
said
70 weeks. Yeah, the end of the 70 weeks.
you said that, yeah, right. So you said the temple was always prophesied to be destroyed, right? That's 70 AD.
Correct. Yeah, the end of the 70 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, so did any of that everlasting righteousness come in at the end of the temple administration there?
Um, you're referring to Daniel 9:27, correct? Let me just pull up that verse.
24 to 27.
The expiating righteousness, I mean, that specifically.
The whole passage, like it lists several things that will come about.
Yeah. So let me just pull it up because I'm not actually looking at it. I'm just going off of memory. 9:26.
So it says, to make an end of sins, finish transgression, reconciliation for iniquity, bring in everlasting righteousness, seal up vision and prophecy, to anoint the most holy.
Yeah.
So did Cyrus bring that?
No, so Cyrus was the beginning of the 70 weeks. Yeah. The
So
second.
that came at the end of the. So that came at the end of the 70 weeks.
No, Cyrus was the beginning, and then yes, the reference
Verse
you're making.
24 says
yes,
that
that's the
is
end.
that
is
the completion, right? Okay. So in 25, when it says that Messiah the Prince, right? In 26, that same Messiah is cut off.
Correct. Yeah.
Who is it that was cut off in 26?
So in 26, it's typically either going to be the high priest, or some people interpret it as Herod Agrippa. Mashiach again.
How are they Messiah? So basically, any of the passages that would speak to Christ being the Messiah have to be somebody else, because that would
no, I mean
rabbinic Judaism.
And anointed, as you know, I know you know this, like that the word Mashiach is used throughout the Torah to refer to, any king or priest. So
okay, so did those people that you're talking about, the high priest or whatever, did he bring reconciliation, everlasting righteousness, sealing up vision of prophecy?
yeah, so that's the verse in 24.
Right.
That what's telling you there is that it's a wording that's saying that you must.
Already said that you already said that 24 is the completion, right?
At the end of I didn't actually finish saying what I was saying.
Okay.
Right? So
sure.
70 weeks have been decreed upon your people and upon the city of your sanctuary to terminate the transgression, to end sin, and to expiate iniquity, and to bring eternal righteousness. So what it's saying effectively is, you need to get your act together and eliminate sin from your people, and then if that doesn't happen, then the next verses go into effect in verse 26.
No, you already admitted that at the culmination of the 70
I didn't admit
weeks.
anything. I didn't admit anything. I was saying that the end of the 70 weeks.
It says that this is what is done at the end of the 70 weeks. So this is bringing in of everlasting righteousness.
With all due respect, do you read Hebrew? Like it's not. That's not what it's not as clear and unambiguous as you're claiming. What it says literally is l'chalei l'pesha, to end sin. That's what that means, right? So it can refer. It doesn't mean that the sanctuary itself.
The first thing you said was that in verse 24, the culmination of the 70 weeks period ends with the finishing of transgression and the things that are listed.
Yes,
and I've listed them like 4 or 5 times. And now you're saying
if the people were to repent, yeah.
Where's the conditional?
It's poetic language, so it's.
Okay, so it's not actually there, right? Okay. All right, well, moving on. Charlie, what's up?
Yeah, so you can see he just cut me off there at the end. I thought we were having a pretty good discussion. I tried not to misrepresent anything he said. He definitely misrepresented what I said, because I never actually claimed that the 70 weeks were the events that took place at the end of the 70 weeks in 24 necessarily had to take place. So I thought I'd just focus on the things I mentioned there and sort of clarify what I was saying, because I was a little nervous, so I definitely slipped up over a couple of verses here and there. Right, so what's written here is l'chalei l'hapesha l'chatem chatot, right? So all of these are written in the infinitive, meaning that this is something that's taking place during the 70 weeks. If I were to tell you this in natural language, right? If I were to tell you this, you have 2 weeks. 2 weeks have been decreed upon you to do your taxes. And after the 2 weeks, the IRS will come and demand payment from you. If I were to tell you that, you would immediately know that I was telling you that it's conditional, that if you don't do your taxes in the 2 weeks, then the IRS is going to come and punish you. Similarly, 70 weeks are decreed here, and then right after the 62 weeks, you have the punishment. And of course, that makes total sense, since if you don't get your act together, the bad thing happens. It doesn't make any sense to say that if you don't get your act together, then meaning if you do get your act together, then the bad thing will happen, right? It doesn't make sense to say, oh, after 70 weeks, we brought eternal righteousness, and now we have to destroy the sanctuary. And by the way, it clearly says that the sanctuary and the city will be destroyed here, so I don't know how any Christian can dispute that this predicts the Second Temple being destroyed. It obviously does. So what I was trying to mention to him there is that even Christians have to agree that there are two mentions of Mashiach here, right? We've got Mashiach here, and then we have Mashiach over here. So the first Mashiach is taking place after the first 7 weeks of the 70 weeks, right? So that's around 400 BCE. So unless you want to claim that Jesus is simultaneously alive in 400 BCE, you have to admit that this is a separate Mashiach. Now, I know there are some Christians that like weirdly translate this to say 7 and 62 weeks in this extremely strange formulation where they claim that this is saying 69 weeks alone without any interruption with the first 7 weeks, and it's just saying it in that way because that's somehow a normal way to count, and obviously that's absurd. You would never say something like that. But anyway, it clearly says that it's going to be after 7 weeks. There's going to be a Mashiach right here, from the word to restore Jerusalem. So now this is referring to the beginning of the Babylonian period. And so after the 7 weeks, you get Cyrus the Great, who issues his proclamation. Yeah, so just to make it extremely clear, after the 7 weeks in verse 25, the proclamation goes out from Cyrus. That will be the Mashiach here, the anointed. And again, there's no definite article here, so it just says Ad Mashiach, meaning an anointed person. Similarly here, it says an anointed person, not the anointed. So they insert this because it's just grammatically makes more sense, but in reality, it just says an anointed. There's no definite article of ha. So after the 7 weeks, Cyrus makes the proclamation, and then you have 62 weeks basically of Jerusalem being rebuilt and all that, and having good times. And then after the 62 weeks, once they have not terminated their transgression and ended their sins and expiated their iniquities and brought eternal righteousness, because that didn't happen, after the 62 weeks, the IRS comes, God comes, he destroys the city, he cuts off the anointed of that time, meaning whoever is their anointed in office, their king or their high priest, whoever that's referring to, and he's destroyed. And then there's another part over here about the last week, which deals with Titus. Anyway, but the essence here is that there's two different Mashiachs. So the first Mashiach obviously can't refer to Jesus, so it must refer to a different Mashiach, and also that proves that Mashiach doesn't necessarily refer to the ultimate Messiah. So, yeah. The other absurdity here is that if one agrees this refers to 70 CE, then this anointed person can't be Jesus for obvious reasons. He comes 40 years before the temple is destroyed, right? So that would be an extra, 5 or 6 weeks? And it's being pretty exact here. It's giving you 62 weeks. So this is not like a rounding error. So the point is that this obviously can't refer to Jesus in any way. And I think Jay Dyer knew this, which is why he sort of ran away at that point. I was trying to explain to him that it doesn't have to literally say, if you don't do this, if you don't do X, then Y, right? Like that that's typically not how the Torah speaks. It speaks in poetic language. But this isn't even that difficult to understand because, again, you can just speak normally as you would in conversations. Say, you have 2 weeks to do this, and after 2 weeks, Y will happen. So, yeah. So I thought that was interesting. I thought that I would bring that to your attention. A lot of these missionaries or Christian debaters, they sort of rely on these tactics of interrupting people and misrepresenting people, and that definitely happened here, and obviously just cutting people off when it's no longer convenient for them. So just keep that in mind. But it's very obvious from the verses that this can't refer to Jesus, and that's why Christians generally have to invent this whole thing with the prophetic year and all these other gymnastics, basically, to arrive at their calculations. But they agree that the 70 weeks begins roughly around Cyrus, right? So that you get various different calculations from them, but they agree that the first Mashiach does not refer to Jesus, which is what I was trying to explain. And just one other thing, which he sort of mentioned about dogma. Orthodox Jews don't have dogma in terms of what exactly will happen eschatologically, but we do have some dogmas. I shouldn't have said that we have no dogmas. We do have some dogmas, but most importantly, we have a dogma in terms of adherence to the verdicts of the Sanhedrin. And that's really the key to Jewish law. I mean, the Talmud is effectively a recording of all the decisions of the Sanhedrin and the commentary therein, right? So the primary reason we reject Jesus is not because of some logical argument, although likely the Sanhedrin did take into account these logical arguments, but we reject Jesus and the New Testament because the Sanhedrin made the verdict that this book and this person was ineligible to be the Messiah or any sort of legitimate scripture. And as an Orthodox Christian, you would think that Jay Dyer would understand that we have this central authoritative body, that's sort of how the Orthodox and Catholics get one over on the Protestants. But unfortunately for them, the Sanhedrin is far older than the church, and the Sanhedrin was infallible. So if the Sanhedrin made a verdict that someone was a false prophet or that we're not including a particular text into Scripture, then by definition, that person is a false prophet and it's not included in Scripture. So it's just important to note that the primary reason that Judaism rejects Christianity is the Sanhedrin, which Christianity itself admits to in the New Testament, that they were rejected by the Sanhedrin. And of course, there are various logical proofs that you can make from the Torah, and they're all great. But just historically, that's simply the case. There's nothing in the Torah that suggests the Sanhedrin ever lost its infallibility or ever will lose its infallibility. And so that's just simply where we stand. It's we go by the verdicts of the Sanhedrin in all areas, and therefore we reject all traditions that the Sanhedrin rejected, and that includes Christianity most of all. Okay, thank you, and have a nice day.